A lot of people say that moving to a country is the best way to learn the language. I don't think it's 100% truth, or as my wife would call it, хуй собачья. I live in Berlin since almost 4 years. I started learning the language right after I moved here, so my experience became quite a good reality check for this idea. So in this video, I want to explain why living in a country is not the same as learning its language, when immersion doesn't work like people think it should, and what moving actually do with your language learning. Because if you think about it, the country doesn't teach you the language. It just gives you the place to use what you've learned. I moved to Berlin in 2022, and few months later, I already started learning German in a serious way. And at first it actually felt good, and I covered A1 in a few months. So I don't want this story to sound like I completely ignored the language and I didn't even try. I did try, I studied it, and I actually was doing progress. But then I hit a very annoying point. A1 is enough to start, but it's not enough to make life easier. At this level, you can do small things. You can order something in a cafe or buy something in a shop. You can ask some simple questions. And to be honest, it feels nice. It feels like a progress, and it is progress. But it is also a very small part of the language. It doesn't give you freedom. It doesn't give you confidence, and you end up in a weird state when you already invested time and energy into learning something and you already got first results, and you have an environment where you can practice this. Things you've learned, they're so small, they are almost useless. And this is where this whole immersion myth starts breaking. If you as an adult person move into another country, you are not entering some perfect language learning environment. You actually enter in stress. There are documents, there is visa, there is housing, there is work, there is bureaucracy, there are new systems, new routines, new processes, and hundreds of things that are taking your energy. And since your language is still small and your life is taking a lot of your energy, in most of the situations you will always choose the easiest route. And for me, this easiest route was English. Not because I didn't care about German, not because I was disappointed, but just because I wanted to stay functional. And this is probably the biggest thing I've learned from this whole experience. Moving abroad didn't put me into this immersion mode. It put me into survival mode. And survival mode is very good just for one thing, to help you get through the day. It's not very good at helping you grow or get better. And this is why I think so many people get this wrong. They think that moving to another country will create perfect language learning conditions for you. But for many adults, it actually creates quite opposite. It gives you pressure, stress, and less mental space. So yeah, it technically was in Germany, but I definitely was not in the best shape to learn the language. And Berlin makes it even easier.
Lauf durch die Straßen, Fuß Berlin. Hürde um Hürde, Stadt aus Maschinen. Eiswagen, dazu kein Halt gemacht. Lauf mal, es groß Berlin geschafft.
When people talk about immersion, they usually imagine a place where local language is everywhere and you have no other options but to use it. But Berlin is not like that. Berlin is a very international city. A lot of people speak English and a lot of daily situations happen in English. Even at work, with my German-speaking colleagues, we speak English because it's easier. So from the outside, it could look like a perfect setup. So you live in Germany, German is around you, you can use it every day. What's the problem? Problem is that your contact with the language stay very shallow. Because yes, I do use German in cafe, in shops, and in some small daily situations, but the language in these situations also stay very, very small. It's the same kind of questions, it's the same kind of answers, you repeat the same patterns again and again, and you can actually survive with a very, very limited amount of phrases. And that creates a strange illusion. You think, well, I'm using language every day, so I'm probably improving, right? But this survival German is not the same as real communication. You can order coffee in German for years and still not feel comfortable in conversation. You can buy groceries but still cannot read a newspaper. You can handle simple tasks but still feel completely lost if something unexpected happens. And this is actually the trap. You can touch the language every day without really stepping into it. You can be near it all the time without building your life with it. And this is exactly why immersion sounds stronger than it really is. People imagine that being surrounded with the language is enough, but that's just the beginning. It is still about practice, it's still about memory, it's still about confidence, it's still about being able to use language when your life gets messy and something unexpected happens. Otherwise, you're always surrounded by language, but it never becomes yours. And that's also why some advices about language learning sound empty to me. So for example, yeah, you should just watch TV, or you should just speak with people. And I understand what people mean, and I don't think these advices are completely wrong. They just do not include the most difficult part. It doesn't include stress, it doesn't include tiredness, it doesn't include embarrassment, it doesn't include this feeling of you not being able to say things you actually mean. Using a language you cannot control actually costs you a lot of energy. And if your life already full, already stressful, already overloaded, this cost matter. So the reality is that environment, in my case Berlin, give you enough contact with the language to be close to it, but also give you a lot of opportunities to avoid using the language. It allows me to avoid the pressure that could potentially lead to growth. And this is where this whole story become a bit more than just language learning. Because the real cost, it's not only practical. Yes, of course, it's annoying when you cannot explain things that you want to say. It's annoying to feel slow, limited, or unsure. But this is not the deepest problem. The deepest problem is distance. Without the language, I can function here, but I cannot fully belong here. I can buy things, I can go to places, I can handle basic situations, I can go through the city. But I still feel this whole layer of this place I'm not fully inside. And people are super nice to me. I've never experienced any judgment that I'm not speaking fluent German. The issue is more subtle than that. Without the language, there is always a distance between you and the place you live in. Some barrier, some part of life that just out of reach. And even though I'm in this German-speaking environment, magic doesn't happen. So, what do I believe now? I do not believe that immersion is fake. I do not believe that moving abroad does nothing. It does help, but it helps in a different way. The country is not the teacher. It gives you the context, it gives you examples, it gives you chances to try things. It gives you the reason to care. But it does not do the learning for you. Things does not happen automatically. And if your language learning is not happening, it's not because you are lazy. It's not because you are not capable of learning languages. Sometimes it just means that life is stronger than this myth. Work is stronger than this myth. Stress is stronger than this myth. And the only question is, can you be even stronger than that? So no, moving to a new country is not enough. It just opens the door for you, but you need to walk through it on purpose. See you later.